For those of you that are wondering where Tiger Beach is located, I'm going to make an attempt here to show the approximate location on Google Earth. Tiger Beach is located approximately 14 miles north into the open ocean from the west end of Grand Bahama Island. To get to Grand Bahama Island, you can fly from the States, Nassau to Freeport, or direct to Freeport. There are accommodations in Freeport, but then you would have to drive to the west end every morning to meet the dive boat. My wife and I have chose to stay at Blue Marlin Cove Resort, which is where Epic Diving operates out of, just out of convenience of leaving with them every morning. There's another resort on the west end, which is called Old Bahama Bay, but you'd have to drive every morning back to Blue Marlin Cove to meet the dive boat. And I think it's about a 10-minute drive. Well, as you can see in the background here, we just arrived on Grand Bahama. Gonna go get the rental car and get to the resort. Okay guys, we are in the rental car. We did the grocery shopping and are on the way to the resort. But we just found out, well, when we picked up the rental car, something we didn't know about Grand Bahama. Be prepared to drive on the left side. This is my first time doing it, and for the most part it looks like follow the cars. And the rule here, there's a sticker on the windshield that says keep left, and it so far that has worked. Okay, standing on the dock here at the marina, getting ready to go, day one. You can probably see the boat in the background. 13 divers, and we're getting ready to take off. Vinny says it's about an hour and a half boat ride out and northwest of here. Quick tour of the boat here, starting up top, captain's area. That's Captain Mike there. Move on to the back of the boat there. Lower level, all the gear is stored down below. You can see there's plenty of room for people to move around, plenty of room for the gear. A little prep table down here under the steps. That's Vinny and Deb there. And we'll move on down, take a look at the cabin. Plenty of room in there. There's a head down on the right. Plenty of room for cameras. There's a dining room table, a couple storage freezers. All in all, really, really nice boat. See, we're leaving the marina at the Blue Marlin Cove Resort. Really nice place. Rooms are really nice. They're condos. They have kitchens. Very spacious. We're in a 2-bedroom. It has 2 bathrooms, nice kitchen, and a nice living room area. But as we go out here, we're basically going out through a small channel that was created when they built the resort, and you're heading out south, and then the boat is immediately going to turn and head northwest as they leave the channel of the marina, and out around the point of the island, the northwest point of the island, and you just keep continuing north, headed out to the dive site, which we are told is about 14 miles out. So here we are at the dive site finally, as you can see, everybody's getting ready. I have to say that the mood that first day seemed a little stoic. You know, there was seemed to be these looks of apprehension on everyone's faces, probably myself included. And I think it just came from, you know, the unknown. You're kind of standing there and you're looking down on the water and you're seeing the number of sharks and the size, and you know, you kind of going through the, wow, what did I just sign up for? But once you make the first dive and you see what Vinny and Deb are doing, and you realize these sharks are just really curious more than anything, you lose that apprehension pretty quickly. can see from first day's video, the sharks cooperated. There was plenty to see. Learned a lot from Vinny and Deb, and so we're getting ready to head out for day 2, and just wanted to talk a little bit about what they do and you know, what they said leading up to the dive. It was too noisy on the boat. They conduct the dive briefing on the way out to the site, so I couldn't capture what they were saying. The boat was too noisy, so we're going to try to grab them for 15 minutes and maybe have them answer questions that you know, people would have about coming and diving with them. But anyway, just, you know, the sharks cooperated. I think we saw, what, 4 species? We saw maybe it was 5 actually.
Lemons,
yeah.
Bulls, tigers. There was nurse sharks.
No, not nurse sharks. Reef sharks. So we had tigers, 1 bull shark, 1 hammerhead, lemons, and reef sharks. Yeah, so 5 species. I don't know if you saw in the little bit I captured yesterday, they had a screen up that showed sort of the formation of how they want the divers. And so basically it's like, say, a reverse offensive line, if you will. All the divers are in a line. Vinny and his wife Deb would be, say, the quarterback and the fullback, and they're turned, you know, around the opposite way. And what you're doing is your back is to the current, and what they're doing is the scent of all the oil and the fish in the bait box is going down current, and the sharks are coming up current to get fed. Hey, we're in a bit of a delay because of the wind, so Vinny and Deb
Cannibal
have agreed to sit down and answer some questions for us. So, and believe me, their days are full. So this is real nice of them. So how about just starting with how this all came to be?
We spent probably 10 or 12 years just traveling all over the world for the different shark diving hotspots.
On your own?
Yeah, just as
just
tourists.
for enjoyment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Once we got into diving and then started with the sharks, that's pretty much all we had done after that point. So we went to Cocos and Galapagos and Guadalupe and California and all different places around the world just to find different species of sharks. And then at some point we were interested in finding oceanic whitetips, and we had heard about them being located in Cat Island in the Bahamas. So we took a try to see if we could go find them there, just from land, getting right offshore and seeing if we could bait in the oceanic whitetips, and we did. It took some trial and error, but it was a successful trip that we got down there finally, and got the oceanic whitetips. So they were just, I think, terrified and shocked and in awe that we survived getting in the water with the sharks. And then just a lot of conversation with the folks on that island, because it's a pretty remote out island in the Bahamas. There's really not much in the way of tourism there, and we started talking to them about that. I think this would be something that's really special here, and I think that we could probably get people to come and, you know, visit the island and spend some tourist money on the island, which was a big help for them. That's really how it all started. I think the first 3 or 4 years of the business, we were exclusively at Cat Island running those trips, and it's since expanded.
We talked a little bit about this. I'm sure people are wondering yesterday. The dive sites, like, you know, can you speak to that a little bit? You talked about they used to do dolphin.
Yeah, so for Tiger Beach, they were running dolphin tours out there because there was a lot of dolphins out there, and one of the guys would, you know, clean the fish for the guests on the boat to eat dinner, and they saw a tiger shark go by. And they had the idea, okay, well, if we put more fish in the water and we continue to do it, maybe more tiger sharks will show up.
Now, those dolphin tours, they weren't diving. That was just like you're on a boat and you see the dolphins, or was it actually?
Snorkeling.
Oh, snorkeling, okay. So you guys were very much a part of bringing all these sharks in and to what you have right now, right?
Correct. Yeah, when we first started with Tiger Beach, I mean, you put the chum in, you take a couple hours to get one tiger shark. And as you saw yesterday, within, 30 minutes, we had like 10 tigers, 2 all day long. We had more sharks than anybody could count. And it took the years of building it up. And first we got the tigers, and then we started getting lemon sharks, and then we started getting reef sharks, and then we started getting bull sharks, and then we started getting hammerheads. So over the years of just working together with the other operators of chumming the area, we just built it up to what it is today.
So what is the best way for people to get a hold of Epic Diving and book a dive with you guys?
I would say through the website. I mean, we have most of the information of all of our tours there. And then just...
Which is www.epicdiving.com?
Yep.
Yeah. And then talk a little bit about Felicia, because maybe people are confused. They think they're going to talk to you guys or what have you, so maybe...
Felicia, she handles all our emails and, communications with everybody coming in. We're obviously out on the boat all day long. So, we have, Felicia is actually Vinny's sister.
Oh.
And, so it's a very family-run business.
Okay. And so she's on the mainland, just so everybody knows.
Right.
You're not really going to talk to these two, and don't get confused by that. I know when we booked, we were kind of wondering how that all worked, but that's very helpful. So, how about level of experience for a diver wanting to book with you guys? Do you have a requirement?
You have to have open water certification, and then in the beginning when we first started this business, we thought the higher the certification, the better the diver. But over the years, we realized that's just not the case.
Okay. This is kind of unique.
We've had a woman, just last week, she had, 4 dives, and she was, we were like, oh my God, you're so good. Like, you couldn't even describe it. She was an angel. And we had another guy on the same dive who went 900 dives, and it was like,
Oh, there you have it.
Yeah, the regular open water certification is all that we require. I mean, we prefer people be very comfortable with the scuba skills so that you can focus on the sharks and not have to worry too much about, dive-related issues. But it's not certification related necessarily, as Deb said. We've seen it happen all different ways. Very experienced folks have issues, and the new guys right out of the class are ready to listen to the rules and the briefing and make it a lot easier for us. So it's kind of, it's always a crapshoot.
I do have to say, this is probably one of the best dive, what am I trying to say? The pre-dive planning.
Briefing, yeah.
The briefing. They have a huge video screen. It's very professional. It was very informative. And the one thing I wanted to get, that I took from it, and we weren't able to record any of it because the boat was too loud, but I've seen other videos where the divers are in a circle. I like what you guys do with the line. I sort of described it in another part of this as kind of like a offensive line where you two are the quarterback and the halfback, and we are the offensive line, but we're faced backwards. Do you ever do the circle? Is there what?
The circle has some disadvantages. One being that, depending on the current, if the current's coming this way and there's a circle, the sharks are not going to be able to come right into the bait crate. I mean, they don't work for free. They work for fish.
Yeah.
They're there because they want the fish, and that's it. So if there's someone there and they're constantly getting blocked by the shark, and they're not able to get that reward, then they could leave. I mean, as you see yesterday, we had plenty of tigers and hammerheads and stuff, and especially with newer sharks like the one big huge hammerhead. She's when she first started out, she was very shy, and she was shy to come to the bait brush. She was shy, so to have people there and not able to give her a clear path of just to come in and get that reward, she would have just eventually left and probably would have never stayed in the area playing with us. And you see how now she is. I mean, she's like awesome, you know. The second thing is that to us it's unsafe because you got the current coming and they're directing the sharks. So that person, if they're in a circle and they're behind them, they have to constantly either watch behind them or watch on the side. Like it's a constant. You have to be on your toes. I don't want to be in that position. But the other thing is that with the setup that we have now with the line, and then we bring the people up closer to the to us to the crate, is that there's no one in the front. So
Yeah.
everybody, if you had to circle,
Yeah.
those people taking
that's what I
photos,
thought,
they
yeah.
would be all in your photos,
Right,
and
right,
nobody
yes.
wants other
Right.
divers in
Yeah.
their bubbles in their photos.
I
So-
will say something about that. I mean, you guys set it up great, so you can get those pictures of just the shark, and maybe it's rising up. You get the sun. It was great. But I found, reviewing some of the pictures from yesterday, when you get one diver in the picture, it gives those sharks some scale, because
Yeah,
you really
it does.
can't tell how big they are until there's a diver next to them, and then you're like,
Yeah.
holy smokes, this
That's
is a big
absolutely
animal,
true.
you know?
Yeah, we do try to create a variety of situations, especially for the photography guys, because there's
Yeah.
always different things to, and that's one of the reasons we love Tiger Beach so much, is there's a lot of, I mean, Tiger Beach is a really big area. There's a lot of different sites we can go to with different topography, the seagrass, the sand, the reef, and then having divers rotating, you know, in a coordinated way throughout the dive gives everyone the opportunity to get just the clean natural shots,
Yeah.
the shots with divers, the shots with the sun, you know, because we spend the time to try and work people into different positions on the dives. I think it gives the most opportunity.
So, touch base on, here's one example. We got the wind, we can't go out. What are the other times when you just call it off?
Occasionally, we've been in a situation where we've been out there and doing the dive, and we've aborted the dive or even not gotten in the water. Tends to have to do with the conditions out there, because it's a shallow sandbank. Some of the areas are going to get a real bad surge, and when the divers are all getting thrown back and forth and trying to focus on sharks and reaching out their arms to stabilize themselves, I mean, it's a risky situation where we're worried accidents could happen. So we've ended dives that way. There's been other scenarios where the visibility's been terrible,
And what causes, I mean, it's, you know, there's no like river runoff, there's no,
Yeah,
you know, so what causes the visibility to go bad?
usually
Just current?
it would be the
Or the surge.
preceding bad weather.
Stirs
Stirs up the banks a lot, and then
All
as
right.
the tide bring all that sediment out and sand and silt that comes off of the banks, we can get pretty green water there.
And if you get 5-foot visibility, you can't even see the shark. You can't see the divers.
Yeah.
It's just
Too dangerous.
It's too dangerous. You know, even for maybe you're in a reef dive, you're uncomfortable. But when you're diving with 10
Yeah.
large tiger sharks, you just can't.
There was a dive where I had gotten in first with the bait, and as soon as I hit the bottom, I looked up. I couldn't see the boat anywhere, and I was only underwater for 20 minutes because it took me that long. I mean, I jumped in, went to the bottom, and I could not find the boat. So unfortunately, it was planned that I was just going to get in and check the conditions, so no one else was coming in. But it took a while to get myself back to the boat, and as I'm working back to the boat, a huge shark just came out of nowhere because I couldn't see very far
Right.
at all. And I think we both scared the crap out of each other. I was like, "Ah!" And the shark was like, "Ah!" And it just took off. And finally, I found the boat, and I said, "Sorry, guys, we are not getting in the water. If I'm terrified of doing this, I don't think it's the right idea."
A couple of times we've had water spouts too, where it'll, because if you get a water spout, it's like a tornado on the water.
Oh,
Yeah, and
okay.
we're under, and the captain will see it's coming. I mean, it'll take your whole boat, pick it up, and just throw you.
Oh,
We
wow.
had one of our friends in Florida who has a dive boat. That's what happened to them. I mean, it just took the whole
Spun-
boat
spun
and
the whole
spun
boat.
the whole boat. And so
Wow.
once in a while when we get that, that'll be, captain will not, bang on the ladder, and it's like we just gotta go.
Usually, all the conditions that prevent the diving are weather related, whether it's visibility or weather itself, wind, waves.
Okay.
Yeah, there's never. I think it's all weather. Right?
Yeah.
How about maybe describe, what you guys would suggest is the best thickness of a wetsuit? What kind of equipment should people bring? Is there any, so far I've found it's been pretty easy, but, what your take for somebody that's, hey, what do I bring?
Technically, the diving is really easy. It's, 20 to 30 feet. Some of the reefs would go a little bit deeper, 40, maybe 50, but generally speaking, the diving is quite easy. We require everyone to wear full-length wetsuits. We prefer dark colors. There's not any particular color that I think, attracts the sharks, but high contrast areas, so a nice silver fin with black in it. You've got a black-white sort of situation, or one time I saw this guy had a wetsuit that was all black and just had yellow on the shoulders, and that was another area of high contrast where the sharks might key on that. But full-length wetsuits, gloves. A lot of people don't travel with gloves. We have plenty of spare gloves here. BCD regulator. Don't really require people to have snorkels.
Right. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of surface.
Just a regular dive setup. The only special things are full length suits. The water temperature around this time of year is anywhere from 75 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. So it seems like it's kind of warm, but the diving is mostly stationary, so that could lead to people getting a little bit chilly. We've had people dive in skins, 1 mil, 3 mils, and 5 mil. I generally use a 5 just because we're in the water so much every day. Yeah. But I would say a 3 at least.
Yeah,
for
I
the
used a
average
3.
diver.
I used a 3 yesterday. Tammy used a 3, and you know, I never got cold. I don't know. I had a hood on, but.
Yeah, a hood
Yeah,
helps though, because
yeah.
you lose a lot of heat through your head, so a hood really does. People don't realize it, but a hood is like key to keeping warm.
Speak about the weight, because this was obviously unexpected, and I know what you said, and I just to let everybody know, 25 pounds minimum, you know, and I'm like, wow, I usually dive with 14 maybe, and Tammy's like 8 pounds, and you know, you said 25, okay, so we gave Tammy 25, I put on 25, and I ended up at 30 on the second dive. I could feel myself in the current. So maybe speak to that a little bit. People might go, wow, I've never dove with that much weight, but and I was surprised. I thought there might be an issue, you know, because I had my camera and I got to come back up after I, you know, enter the water and grab the camera. It really wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but maybe speak to that and why, so people know why so much weight.
It is. We get a lot of concerned looks when we make our suggestions for weight. But again, I think being on that shallow sandbank and then trying to hold a stationary position when you do have some current moving. So even if there's not current, there tends to be some of that surge from the surface. Trying to hold that stationary position and being underweight, it just really makes the dive more of a struggle for people, and it's harder to enjoy it or focus in on the photography or the sharks. So the extra weight, it really just helps to keep you stable on the bottom, maintain your position, and just sit back and enjoy the show. The only downside I would say is that concern of getting up and out of the water, but we're always very used to obviously dealing with that and helping people out. So once you get up to the ladder, if folks need to, you can take weight belts off or weight pouches out, or captain's always there to help get the weight of the tank off of your back. Because we're shallow too, we don't have to worry about, you know, I mean, even the lightest travel BCs are able to help people get up to the surface. It's never a struggle. We have a downline there available for people if they wanted to use that to help get up and down to the boat. So it tends to happen where we do make a suggestion. People think it's kind of crazy sounding about how much weight they wear, but find that, I mean, there has never been a diver that's taken weight off. It's always been either they got it right or even have to add a little more in.
Yeah, and I even felt with 25, I felt like if there was, you know, I saw you stand up. If I came up a little bit, I could feel like the current wanted to take me towards the sharks with 25 pounds, and I added 5 on the second dive, and it seemed to, so I believe what they say.
It's not one of the, you know, the warm water Caribbean destinations where we're trying to be trimmed out and neutrally buoyant and really work on things. We're really trying to be stable on the bottom, anchor solid, and just be ready to watch it. Yeah.
Especially too, because sometimes, you know, you could start a dive and there's no current, but then halfway through the dive you could get a surge or a current, and then so you may not need all the weight at the beginning of the dive, but by the end of the dive you might need it. So that's why it's always better to just have the extra weight, and you know, you can compensate with your BCD coming up, and like I said, the captain can, you know,
couple of fin kicks and a little air in your BCD.
And the rope really helped
back
too.
at the boat.
Yeah, the rope is.
Hey, I thought I'd take a minute and go through the equipment that I used to shoot the still pictures and the video in this video. I shoot a Canon 7D Mark II. I had a Tokina 10 to 17 millimeter lens on the camera. This is a crop sensor camera. And I had the camera in this CNC MDX2 housing with a 6-inch dome port. I've got a couple of CNC YS-D2 strobes attached, although I didn't use the strobes, only one afternoon. Didn't need them. As far as the video, and this video is being shot with a GoPro Hero 7 Black. It did a great job. We had it in this GoPro Super Suit, looks like this. Here's the packaging it comes in. And we have this Flip 7 filter system that we used. They give you 3 filters, although the assembly here shows only 2. They give you 3. They give you a shallow water filter, a medium depth filter, and a deep depth filter. We only ever used the shallow depth filter, and everything worked fine. As far as the camera settings, it really wasn't that complicated. I left the ISO alone. It was set to 100. I left my f-stop at f7.1. And the only thing I adjusted was my shutter speed. I would white balance every day. And if the conditions changed from morning to afternoon, I had a white card that I would take underwater and white balance just to correct the color. And the only thing, like I said, the only thing I changed was the shutter speed depending on the ambient sunlight. The range that I was in was anywhere from 1/80th of a second on the slow end up to 1/400th of a second on the high end. And I never went higher than that. Didn't need to. I think, the sharks are swimming slow enough that you're not getting much blur and they're coming right at you. So yeah, it was pretty easy shooting. And I did take my cues really from Deb. Deb and Vince don't have strobes attached to their housing. They could, they just don't. And I think from experience they've learned that, the ambient light shooting gives you better pictures, and so they don't even attach them. I probably should have left. I kept them on the housing. I probably could have left them back at Blue Marlin Cove and never used them. I did use them one afternoon, and the results, I didn't care for the results. You're so close to the sharks that it was casting a red hue. The strobes were casting a red hue along their body, and so I found that the pictures, the better pictures, were without the strobes. So I hope that kind of gives you an idea, and I'm not showing this gear to make you think that this is the kind of equipment you have to have or you can't shoot. There were people that just shot GoPro video. There were people that had smaller compact cameras in waterproof housings, and everybody seemed to be happy with the pictures they were getting. So I hope you enjoy these last few pictures and this last little bit of video, and thank you again for watching.